and I was told by my 6th grade choir teacher this. They said, Adam, you might want to just stick to sports. Because I've never been able to read music, and I'm very monotone when I sing.
Mm-hmm.
But when I'm in my truck and the volume's up, nobody cares.
And when I'm in the shower,
you're singing away.
Yeah, I get into
or
it.
rapping away.
My only musical talent is my ears.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Level Up Life, Muscle and Mindset Mastery. Got Waz again, myself. We got a special guest, Chris Redburn, and what's your name?
Stevie Lee.
Stevie Lee. Welcome, guys. So, Chris, you have a band, right?
Yes, sir.
And you're lead singer. It's one of your vocalists.
We're both vocalists.
Okay.
I'm rap, sing, he's sing.
Right. So I was jamming Hell Now over here, coming over. It's my favorite of your guys' songs. It's not your biggest song. What's the big one?
Well, the newest one that surfaced actually became our biggest song. It's a rendition of Eminem and Rihanna, Love the Way You Lie. It's a rock rendition, so it's our version of that song.
Okay. So I really like the Hell No song.
Yeah.
So what part, you do more of the rap vocals?
I'm all the rap.
Okay.
And he's
singing.
99% sing.
Okay.
Saying live, you'd see me tag rap so he can breathe. But
Right.
Yeah.
primarily in the studio, it's me singing.
Okay.
Like the hook,
Yeah.
primarily.
Yeah. I really like all music. So when you get something that's like variety, and you guys have that song I'm talking about specifically has a really Linkin Park type vibe.
Absolutely,
that I
yeah,
really like. I miss those guys.
Yeah, we
coming
get
out
that a
with
lot. We
new
get that a lot.
music.
We're more or less an original band, but we dabble with covers because, I mean, I came up as a DJ, so I've had all hits and music through my system. So there's a lot of songs that I like, and there's a lot of songs that you want to bring back to life. Like older songs that if they were produced in today's age, how would they sound versus back in early 2000s or 90s?
Right.
So I'm a fan of, everybody's a fan of cover music. You go to a bar, you see a cover band, they're singing their version of their whole set is cover music. So, but we're creators, we're an original band. We like to create our own music, and that's kind of where the base and heart of our band is. But to do these covers are fun, and we like to have fun. So,
right. That's what life's all about.
Yeah.
Right?
Pretty dope when you have your own spin. You know, on the covers, right? It's rare, but there's some that are way better, like GNR,
yeah,
right? Doing Knocking on Heaven's Door.
yeah,
Like, especially if you're gonna talk about Dylan, right? Like, you can kick him the hell out. 'Cause,
yeah.
he ain't there neither. But like a lot of them that when they are better than the original, and the original's good, it's dope.
And it's funny that you say that because, we go through some of the comments online, and, I would say 80% of the people are like, this is better than the original. And then you get the people that are like, it can't touch the original. But that's what the comment section is for your, some people are going to have an opinion. Some people are going to like it. Some people are going to hate it. Some people are going to say it's better or not better, but at the end of the day, it's our version. We didn't make it to be better.
Right.
We made it to be our version.
Yep.
And when you take a song from, especially if it's from the 70s or 80s, it may sound better because we're working with better technology.
Right.
We're working with crispier, softwares, and it's going to sonically sound better.
Mm-hmm.
But who's the judge to if it's better or not?
That's why they remaster albums from the past.
Yes, exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. But, it's fun to perform these because, some of these crowds that we run into, they may have never heard us before. So then we throw on a Linkin Park cover or Eminem cover, and now we got them. We hooked them in because they love that cover.
And now they're listening like me. I'm listening to all your stuff now.
Right.
Going through
Yeah.
it all.
So it's, a lot of I Prevail, just because it's a Michigan band, these guys blew up off a cover.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then people need to understand that, we're not just ripping it from them. Like everything's legal. These days when you do a cover, you go through your online distributor and the royalties are taken out right when you list the song, because you have to list the original songwriter. You have to list the original artist. So everything's legal, and because that's a lot of people are like, oh, you're going to get sued over this, but we wouldn't be doing that if that was the case. So, but people also don't understand how that process works, as far as you have YouTube where there's a million covers, everybody's doing cover songs, acoustic or what have you. And then now AI is coming into place. So everything, just like publishing, everything is separated. If there's a song on Spotify or any digital platform and they didn't write the song, royalties are separated.
Well, I know
every one of them.
I'm not real familiar with the back end of the music industry, but in terms of social media, like if I take a video of him and I working out at the gym and the radio's in the background,
they'll flag you.
I'll get copyrighted and have to pay royalties to whatever off of that. And I don't
yeah,
think
what
a lot
they'll
of
do
people
is they'll
know
just
that.
take that video from you, because as soon as you put something online, it becomes public property for the most part.
Yep.
But the music is all copywritten. Yeah, absolutely.
And when you monetize Facebook and stuff like that, you have to actually click the button. Yes, pay royalties to them, or you don't get anything.
Basically, it's a share.
Yeah.
Like for us, if as an artist, if we use a certain song, it's a share. Even if we use our own song, if I use my own song on Facebook, my distributor is going, "Hey, this is somebody's song," and it's, even though it's my song. So they're taking the share from my personal Facebook and going into the band fund through the distributor.
Right.
So
and that's probably all AI now, because to have someone track every video on
I'm sure.
internet, they can't do it.
Or
but
a bot of some sort.
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting how that all works. But I mean, it seems like they have a fair grasp on how they're, because like I said, there's so many different platforms and social media bases to where, they're just using everybody's music. So it's kind of cool to see those royalties go to the original artists that are making them.
Yeah.
Because in the bar industry, you have these, if you own a bar, any music that you play, you have to pay publishers. You have to pay the publishing companies, BMI, ASCAP. So if, 702 has karaoke night, BMI is writing this down. There's a person somewhere that's investigating every single bar in the country.
Wow,
there's
crazy.
different people in different areas, and they're going, okay, they have a karaoke night, so we're going to charge them X amount of dollars. The hard part about that is, where is that money really going? Like, what artist is it going to?
Right.
So it's
Going to
kind
the
of,
record
to me, it's
labels?
kind of shady. The publishing companies are shady. They just throw a number at you, and if you don't pay it, they're sending you a letter-headed with 15 to 20 lawyers, and you can't fight it.
No.
You pay it, or you're going to court. Either way, they're going to get their money.
Spending a ton of money on legal fees.
Yeah, so that's kind of a back end of the bar industry, because I owned a bar for a few years, the Hamilton Street Pub in Saginaw, which was all original music for the most part. But when BMI and ASCAP came in, I have my own BMI and ASCAP, and they had no idea, and I kind of schooled them on how this works. Like, you can't just come in here and throw numbers at me, So, and they got mad, and they fired, they fired up a letter and sent it, and we had to pay it, or they would have got it in court either way. So they get their money. They're big bosses in the industry.
We came a long way from the old Napster days.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. But it's
man.
cool to see that they have a control on it, though.
Yeah.
Because Napster was out of control.
Oh,
I mean,
there were, even when Napster got taken out, there were still like these back channel ones, and you'd be downloading something, and then it would just crash
that
out or
was
something.
literally. I mean, it doesn't get any more hardcore pirating than Napster was.
Yeah, I was.
I mean, they were the
guilty of it
beginning of
back
it.
then, but
Yeah.
knowing like this is someone's creative content,
Right.
Like what I was doing back then, I'm like, dang. But it was so cool. to
Oh,
have
we all did
access
it.
to
We all ate
this
it.
music,
We ate it for
know?
breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah.
Like downloading anything you wanted. Like it was like
That was
dial
you're
up.
like a kid in a candy
Dial
store.
up. You didn't wait.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, we're gonna watch this movie tomorrow when it's done downloading.
Yeah.
couple days.
Yep.
But yeah,
And it was like a
Times.
movie of someone recording their TV or something, or in the movie theater
Yeah,
recording the
yeah,
movie.
yeah.
And you're
yeah,
like,
bootleg DVDs
Yep.
and
Yep.
yeah.
So you've been in the music industry for over 20 years, is it?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I started right fresh out of high school. I started DJing,
Yeah.
and I moved into doing spring breaks. You know, I was down. I did MTV Spring Break. I worked Coca-Cola Beach and South Padre as a DJ. So once I kind of got into the network, I became a promoter the day I became a DJ. So I think that's what helped me advance quicker in the industry, is because I had that, you know, promotional brain operating constantly. So I wasn't just focused on the technical aspect of DJing and the dance floor and the crowd. I was focused on why people are coming in the door.
Right.
So, you know, but that was kind of the base of my career. And then I, you know, moved on. I DJ'd for Girls Gone Wild. I produced music for their platform, which was solely just, you know, music betting in the background of their commercials, late night commercials that would come on and spin.
Right.
But the money that I was, you know, making off that, I've never made that kind of money before. So, you know, I stuck with them for like 4 or 5 years. And then once the money ran out and they went bankrupt is when, you know, I kind of started doing my own music. I started dabbling with music that I've wrote over the years. And me and Stevie had met. We actually met at a video game release.
Black Ops.
Yeah.
When that
video
first
game,
came
Black
out.
Ops.
And he called me out of the blue. I mean, you had knew me from somewhere.
I was doing a lot of stuff down in Detroit, and then a promoter gave me his contact for a DJ that was doing something else in mid-Michigan, and I was like, all right.
So he hit me up, and, you know, I came down there, and, you know, I didn't know, you know, I've never seen like one of these video game releases, but the line wrapped around the building like 3 times.
Yeah.
Like there was 3 lines all the way around the
It's
building.
impressive.
And, you know, so that's where we connected. He had a different band at the time.
Yep,
And-
Varen. Yep.
Called Varen. Yeah, they were a big Detroit-based band. And, you know, I was the DJ for that. And then, you know, we built that relationship off that meeting. And then when it came time, you know, to do a couple shows, you know, we kind of united and put together this band, you know, because putting a band together was something new for me. You know, I was a solo rapper.
Or a DJ.
Yeah. Well, out of DJing, I started once I had the money, then I started dabbling into music because I knew that I had to travel. You know, I didn't want to be just some local rapper. You know, I wanted to do it for real, or I'm not doing it. So once I started doing that, I mean, there's years in this conversation.
Oh yeah.
But once we formed actually a promoter from Traverse City called us and was like, yo, want you to bring your drummer, this guy that he was drumming at the time. We were dabbling with rap.
Yeah, I sang
drumming.
in the other band, did all that, but I was drumming, yeah.
And he says, come and open for a band called Rehab. And if you guys heard of the band Rehab, they sing the Bartender song.
Okay.
And I was just kind of like, well, that's, you know, I didn't realize the depth of this band Rehab. And we went up there, we ended up doing the show with them. We formed a band just to do the show. And I didn't know that they were like rappers and shit. Like it was, can we swear on here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to swear, but if it slips out.
If it slips out, don't worry.
So, you know, we went up there, did the show, and I'm anticipating like this country rock crowd. And, you know, it was for what we were, it meshed with us, you know, because all of a sudden these dudes are rapping because I only knew one song of theirs. And anyway, long story short, they come off stage and, you know, they're from Atlanta. So they're like, man, y'all are dope, man. Y'all need to come on tour with us. And we're like, wait, what? Tour? You want us to come on tour? So this was our first show. And, you know, they have a massive fan base, and this is their farewell tour. So a couple weeks later, we just anteed up the band and printed some merch and printed some CDs, and we were off on a national tour. So, you know, we got spoiled from the jump. You know, our first show was with Rehab, and then our next, you know, 30 shows were all over the country. So it wasn't, we skipped the whole local band progression,
Yeah.
you know, phase. and went into the national scene. And that's kind of where we've been ever since, you know. And when you go on tour, you're doing these shows every single night. Mm-hmm. So it's not like doing a show and then next month doing a show. So when you're doing these shows constantly, you're finding yourself as a brand, as an individual. You know, so that helped us by the time we got off tour, we knew who we were at that point as a unit and as a style music. We knew, okay, we're going to take these songs and trash them. This is where we need to stay, right in this pocket, in this lane. And fortunately, there were songs that we wrote about real life, you know, like real situations that actually happened. Not me just using my imagination.
Music is the context that I can really like connect with. You know? Yeah, that's like,
well, and because that's the music. Every artist is different. You know, I didn't wake up one day and say, you know what, man, my dream is to become a rapper. I never said I wanted to be a rapper. I never wanted to be a rapper.
Right.
But the things I went through in life, my way of documenting them were making my own music because I had the tools to do that.
I want to bring up like something with my journey with, as far as my background. I had a substance abuse issue. Yeah. Started in like the late 90s into 2000s and I got into recovery 2016, but I know as a youth, as like a young teen, 16, 17-year-old, I was connecting with this music that glorified like drug use and gang behavior. And, it's like, I love some of the new stuff that's coming out that's like, really the context isn't necessarily like, like some of the stuff even Jelly, he puts out is more of like
real.
Thank you. That's what I appreciate because I think
that's why people connected. Somebody save me. Because you're in a place where you want out. Within your heart, you want out of the situation. You're just trying to find a support system to get out of it.
And even in my case, I love that song. When I think of that song, it's like I reflect on where I was, right? I was in this dark place of using dope every day, being sick, trying to find money. And that was like literally what I was thinking was somebody save me from myself, So that's how I'm able to connect with that specific song. Yeah. But
yes. So for me, I could only create music that was real to me. I'm not good at sitting down and talking about somebody else's story in my music. So there's times where it's hard for me to create music because my life is going so good.
Right.
It's like
make the good
I need
stuff.
some drama in my, so at that point you have to go back in time and recreate that situation in your mind and try to pull out what you were feeling and what you were going through. Cause there's so much of it. Like I went through a lot of hard times, which, everybody has their painful times in their lives and everyone goes through struggles. It's a matter of how you handle it. But so I try to go back when I'm speaking on painful music, I try to go back and relate. But if I can't relate to it, it's hard for me to sing about it. I mean, a lot of singers have ghostwriters and a lot of songs become great. But I think when it comes to rappers, it's like if it's not your words, it just doesn't, you feel like you're just a vessel of some sort.
Right.
But I get it, how singers it's a little different for singers, because I'm not a singer.
I write my music.
Yeah, so like if I was a singer.
Don't put me in there.
Yeah. But there's some songs that I can write, but I can't necessarily sing. Right. So
put the passion behind it.
Yes, exactly.
I feel like people don't just hear music. At least I don't. I feel it.
Yeah, you feel it. Absolutely.
And that's a big one where the soul, if you can't, share it because you're not feeling it or you didn't. I mean, big one for me is Joe Cocker, right? Mm-hmm. He didn't write with a little help from my friends, but he was feeling it when he was doing that Woodstock.
Exactly.
When you hear that one, and it's like he is putting every bit of his soul into it. You know what I mean? And it grabs you. It gets your attention.
And I'm sure it grabbed him because he could relate to it.
Yeah.
Because if you can't relate to something, it's, again, you just become a vessel of it. So it's interesting how all that, but I tell people, especially younger artists, I tell them, because they ask me, and I say, I never wanted to be this. This is just who I became. And this, rapping and writing music and recording and performing became an outlet for me. How in other people's lives, maybe an outlet is drinking, smoking, in your case, you had a drug issue, and that was an outlet. You wanted out of reality for whatever reason.
Now,
and for me,
weightlifting is
an outlet.
Yeah.
Like ice hockey is my outlet. I play hockey 4 or 5 times a week. So everybody has their outlet, and I like telling younger kids this, because they don't necessarily understand that. They don't get that everybody has an outlet. Everybody has a fix. Whether it's I sit down and watch soap operas for 3 hours, or whatever it is. Everybody has to have that balance in life, and for me, it became music. And I know a lot of people that, I think everybody has a little bit of music fix within themselves. Turn on music, to go in the gym and not hear any music and work out versus putting music on.
Right.
So it's, especially when you can relate to it.
Now let's take a moment to thank our sponsors, Pine Haven Assisted Living. At Pine Haven Assisted Living, they believe in making every resident feel at home. Nestled in the peaceful countryside of Hemlock, Michigan, they offer compassionate care in a family-like environment where residents can enjoy independence with the support they need. Registered nurse-owned and operated, their team provides personalized care, home-cooked meals, and a range of activities to ensure your loved ones continue to live a fulfilling life. They also have alpacas and llamas on site to enrich the lives of their residents. Experience the warmth and comfort of Pine Haven. Call them today at 989-295-6632. That's 989-295-6632. Or you can visit them on their website at pinehavenassistedliving.com. That's pinehavenassistedliving.com for more information. Now, back to the Level Up Life. I love music, and I was told by my 6th grade choir teacher this. They said, Adam, you might want to just stick to sports. Because I've never been able to read music, and I'm very monotone when I sing. Mm-hmm. But when I'm in my truck and the volume's up, nobody cares.
When I'm in the shower,
you're singing away.
Yeah, I get into
or
it.
rapping away.
My only musical talent is my ears.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I was, as I had all this compiled music.
Mm-hmm.
So when the band formed, I had songs that had guitars in it. But when I was a solo rapper, guitars didn't make sense in hip hop. Or you were thrown into a different category. So these songs just kind of sat. And when I brought him in and we jumped in the studio and then, we started singing, because he's a phenomenal, he can come up with harmonies for days. I can't do that. I can a little bit now, but so with both of us sitting in the studio, that magic just started happening. He would come up with harmonies. We'd both write the chorus together. And then the hardest part of the song was me writing the verse, because I was so picky and had to be perfect and had to be real for me. So, we formed in 2014, and then we started touring, and by 15 we were touring with bands like, Saliva, Power Man 5000, Saving Abel. We dabbled in the hip hop industry and did, a bunch of different hip hop shows. But at the end of the day, we were constantly becoming and evolving into exactly what our brand is today.
Right.
And then, of course, we ran into bumps, and I had health issues. And
yeah, let's talk about that. So you had was it a tumor on your pituitary gland?
Yeah, so in 2011, which was a few years before we formed this band, I went in for I had some pain like in the back of my head, and I was thinking like a sinus infection or some type of, if it's an infection of any kind of sort of virus, I want to get it taken care of. And it hurt. So I went in, and they did a CT, and they came out, and this was the emergency room, you know, because obviously their job is to keep you alive. If you're alive and you're healthy, get out.
Yep.
So they came back and they said, you have a pituitary adenoma. And I'm like, well, what is that? You know, and at that time I wasn't even really keen on, I knew the pituitary gland produced hormones, but I'm like, you know, I wasn't keen on fully what it was, you know, because we don't study those things until it's like a problem. If it's a problem, now it's on our plate. It's like, I want to know everything about it now. So they're like, well, it's a tumor and it's benign. So most of these are cancer free. And I said, wow, a tumor on my pituitary gland. Because when I was young, I remember hearing pituitary gland because I was a bedwetter and I was a sleepwalker. And my therapist used to tell me, because they were trying to put me on medication, they used to tell me that my bladder was growing faster than my pituitary, or it was the other way around. And my pituitary was growing faster than my bladder. And that was causing the bedwetting. And these night terrors I was getting, I'm running around the house, you know, trying to jump through windows. And it went on for years. So I started connecting with that, but in the long run, you know, it was normal. A lot of people have these, and I didn't know that, you know. You hear the word tumor and you start freaking out. So I never really freaked out about it once I started reading about it, because, you know, they say like 1 out of 10 people could have this tumor, and they're so small. I had a macro, which is above a centimeter, and a lot of them, they're below us. They're millimeters. So they call it a micro adenoma. And a lot of people have these and they don't know it because they've never had an MRI, or they've never had an in-depth, you know, CT scan. Some of the CTs may not pick it up if it's small.
Right.
But I came in at the right time. I think mine was like 1.4 at the time, and I had it for years. Well, when you have one of these, you have to start going to these specialists. You know, one was an endocrinologist to see how the tumor is affecting the pituitary.
Yep.
And check your hormone levels. Another one is a neurologist to see, you know, how big it is. Where is it growing north? Is it growing east, west? Another one is an ophthalmologist, because you have your optic nerves that are between.
All like, right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really dangerous area though. And you know, so I went to these specialists for years, and I would get certain headaches, and they weren't like normal headaches. They were headaches they were just headaches that you can't explain because they're so within. It's not like my temple, or, you know, oh, I got a headache in the back of my head. This was like in the middle. Mm-hmm. So it was strange, but it made sense. And then finally, so I found this in 2011. Finally, I got sick of, I started, I would say like 2015-ish. I started getting anxiety, which I've never experienced before. And then it started turning into depression. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, is this getting old? Like, am I worn out to the point where, you know, and then my body started thinning out. You know, I play hockey consistently, and my knees started giving out for no reason. And I'm just thinking, there's got to be something, you know. And I would go to my specialist and tell him my symptoms. And, you know, you go to your family doctor, you go to these specialists, you're there for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Maybe the specialists take a little more time with you. But ultimately, you got to understand that you're a number. You know, you're not Chris Redburn when you walk in. They don't know you. They don't know anything about your background. They get to know you in 10 minutes. You know, right. They have to diagnose you with something in 10 minutes. So once I started learning this process, I started learning, like, I need to be the one to diagnose me. I have to figure this out. This is my body, my life. So once I started digging, and at this point I quit the band. I quit everything that I loved, I quit doing. And
is that because of the anxiety and depression?
It was on like hiatus, because you came over to the house. You were like 176 or 180 pounds on his frame. That was probably less than that.
Yeah, I was losing weight, and I was doing things like I was going through the protein diets, going to the gym, lifting.
You got real thin.
And I'm a pretty disciplined person, you know. I mean, I was in the gym for 2 hours, you know, every other day, solid. And it wasn't making sense because I was taking in the creatine, I was taking in the protein, the meat, the eggs, the chicken, I was doing everything possible, just having a background.
And your weight was still going down.
And it just wasn't gaining.
Right.
It was like that thin person that just can't gain.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then I started digging into groups on Facebook. Like, these are my symptoms. I have a pituitary tumor. You know, and then all of a sudden I started getting message. I went into like a pituitary tumor group. These people are from all over the world. And I put a paragraph of my story and my symptoms. And I swear the next day I woke up and I had about 200 comments. And these people were like, you have low testosterone, dude. These are every symptom of low testosterone. And that was the first time I ever heard somebody say that.
Mm-hmm.
So I go back to my endocrinologist and I'm like, you know, I need to get on testosterone. I must have low testosterone. So I asked for my recent numbers and he wouldn't give them to me. Instead, he took a new test and he says, you have, and I always heard the word, you have low end of normal testosterone. And when I hear the word normal, I'm like, oh, I'm normal. You know, because you grow up trusting the police officer, the teacher, the fireman. So I want to trust the specialist. This is what you specialize in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But until I asked for it, he wouldn't give it to me. As soon as I asked for it, he wrote a script, gave it to me. So at this point, this is like late 2017. I mean, I'm laying in a bed every day. I can't even get out of bed. My anxiety is so bad. I'm on pills. I'm on, you know, different medications, and I don't want to be on them. Like there was no part of me that was comfortable with it. It helped more than it didn't. You know, me sitting there with no pill in me, I was going crazy almost. So I went to my neurologist and I told him I wanted it out. I want to get it out. He says, okay, well, let's schedule a surgery. Well, then I went to my endo and I went to my neurologist, and now it's time for me to go to my ophthalmologist. So I go to my ophthalmologist, they do an in-depth test, and they said, yeah, it's affecting, you know, these in-depth tests, they put up a screen and they show these little white dots. And if you can't see some of them, that's when they know it's affecting your peripheral. Right. And your optic nerve is starting to, that tumor was sitting against my optic nerve. My neurologist said they're sitting there like they're not, like there neighbors. Could be pressure. Yeah, they're definitely touching.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, you know, when they do the intense testing on the vision, they basically said, you got to get this out. And that's when I scheduled to get it out. Well, in the meantime, I'm on TRT, just beginning. Well, within a couple weeks, I had to have this surgery, the brain operation, which I've never had an operation before in my life. You know, never broke a bone.
Right.
So
it's a scary process.
Yeah.
In and of itself.
So I'm like probably a month into TRT, but I'm feeling amazing. I already know, like, this is it. This is the fix right here. Like this, I knew that my hormones were off and this was fixing the situation. So anyway, I get the tumor out and I continue the TRT. The tumor removal was only done to fix my vision, was to make it so it wouldn't get worse. What fixed the entire, all the symptoms was the TRT. So I get on this testosterone, and in 60 days, I gained 60 pounds of muscle.
Holy shit.
Without going to the gym.
Yeah, he beefed up.
And
that was after the
I'm getting
pituitary
goosebumps
gland came
just,
out?
This is,
or
it was after the tumor came out.
So
but,
these two things kind of.
But the removal of the tumor wasn't what made the progression and took the symptoms away. The removal of the tumor made it so, because once they took the tumor out, we went through a phase of no TRT to see if my pituitary gland would still produce the testosterone that your body needs. Mm-hmm. And it didn't. It stayed low. I think it was at like a 150, which if anybody knows your testosterone levels, you're basically a 70-year-old man.
Right.
And the problem with low T is it causes a lot of other symptoms. You know,
Systemic,
your heart rate slows down. The anxiety kicks in, the depression kicks in, all these things. You know, we only use 20% of our brain. So your brain is basically telling you you're dying.
Mm-hmm.
Like you are laying in a bed, depressed, anxiety. You know, your brain is telling your body like you're not functioning well. You know, and that is super dangerous to your body. I mean,
well, and the mindset that it puts you into.
Absolutely.
So mindset can influence all of that.
Oh, absolutely. That's what I mean. Your brain can tell your body through your mind, like, hey, it's game over,
something's
man.
wrong.
You can't.
Yep.
The word can't just keeps surfacing. So anyway, I'm in a place where I can't believe that I gained 60 pounds of muscle doing nothing. Literally, a microscopic hormone changed everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking, I go back to my endo and I'm like, listen, man, I feel way too good. Like, I'm not a needle person, I'm not a pill person, and I'm not a drug person.
Right.
This is dangerous. Something, you know, because you hear about people on testosterone, and obviously it's considered a steroid, and then they're, you know, bodybuilders are mixing it with other things. And you grow up hearing, you know, testosterone is a bad thing. So the more investigating I started doing, the more I started learning real literature, real studies, college studies, scientist studies. You know, Joe Rogan did the same thing when he learned about testosterone. And so, you know, any man without the correct level of testosterone, you're slowly dying.
Well, andropause is a thing.
Yeah.
Well, we had Jessica Raymond from Live One on.
Yeah.
And she does optimization, all that. And she talked about it, how, you know, women go through menopause. And it's similar with men as we age.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a relative actually who's, you know, he's in his early 60s. And the process he went through was he was depressed. Just, you know, like felt like he described it as the sun was setting on his life.
Well, you don't want to be, you want to be in the darkness. You only feel like I would lay in my bed. I didn't want to see the sun.
Mm-hmm.
My most comfortable place was sleeping.
Nope.
When I was asleep, obviously, because you're not in reality. You're in a dream. And it was the first time in my life that I could actually understand people with depression and with anxiety. You hear about it, you want to relate to it, but you just can't. Well, at that point, I could really relate to it, and it's not a fun place. And I understand why people take pills. I understand why people do drugs. I understand, you know, and I'm not saying I never did drugs. I did a lot of drugs.
Right.
But I didn't have the addictive personality, and I always knew that that's not a place for me. It's just
you didn't use it for a coping mechanism.
Exactly. Coping is the key word. Coping.
Yeah. That was me.
That should be the word of the day. The word of this podcast is coping, because
coping. Yeah.
When people use things to cope, and I'm not saying, you know, we may use music to cope or exercise to cope, but it's a big difference when you're using a substance to cope. That's when it becomes danger.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's how I got into trouble, because it wasn't even just the opiates. It was like, I mean, when I was just drinking, it was like, oh, I had a great day at work today. I probably should drink.
Yep.
I was, no matter what mood I was in, it was celebratory. It was anger.
There was always a reason behind it.
Yeah, there's always a
Good,
reason.
bad, or
He's had
indifferent.
his, I mean, I never thought ever in this lifetime that he would stop drinking.
Yep.
He was a huge drinker. And, you know, when you join a band, you know, it's always going to exist. Like that's part of, it's almost like it's, you know, every great musician had some drug problem at some point. And
Right, but nobody wants to be bottom.
well, because exactly.
exactly.
Nobody, you're exactly right. Nobody wants to be bottom, but it almost comes with, the artsier person you are, the more artsy you are, the more that you're willing to dabble. You know, it's like, I want to see what they're talking about. You know, I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to do acid. I want to do shrooms. I want to, you know. So it's like you just want to know, you know, where that frequency exists. I want to know what that feeling is. So I think the more artsy you are, the more creative you are, the more you dabble with that in your lifetime.
And I think the fan side of it too is that way. Because I used to go to concerts all the time. Like I went to my pinnacle, my Woodstock was Rock on the Range.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
In 2011, and it was like I was throttled by 10:30 in the morning.
Well,
but your pregame was the
and that's
game.
an experience. Yeah. And for me, that would be something that I would do in my 20s. Like I would, you know, do some shrooms and go to a concert or something because it's an experience. Mm-hmm. But there's some people that they can't stop that. You know, once
went
they
to the
do
concert for the concert, though. In my scenario, I was like, it wasn't, the concert was just like this raised up platform for me to get tore up.
Right.
So that's like, I think a major difference between someone with a substance abuse problem and.
Well, it's just another reason to do it.
Yeah.
I was more in that realm. I was more in your realm.
Yeah.
Even though I'm involved in the music, I'd be like, well, let's
Got
get
a
lit
show,
up.
yeah.
But never,
Exactly.
never in my lifetime did I ever think that he would, if he can stop drinking, to me, anybody can. Because he was dependent of it on a daily basis. And he had other issues prior to this. So I'm like, well, if you're just drinking, then that's cool. That's a good place for you. You know what I mean? That's what I thought. Mm-hmm. Just because of his other situations. So for him to stop drinking, I was like, wow, like that's incredible.
Yep.
I mean, I never, like I said, I never thought. So that actually put me in a place where, you know, this band can really move forward now.
Yeah.
You know, like he's not a liability anymore. In the early days, you know, it's like,
got to watch how much he's drinking.
If a record deal landed on our lap or a big opportunity landed on our lap, that's going to be an issue that we're going to have to deal with as a band, you know, because, you know, there's times where it's cool when we're on stage rocking, but there's times where we're not on stage and it's not very cool.
Yeah, I just kept the party going all the time. It was too much.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
I'm glad you quit.
Man.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
at
awesome.
14 months now, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Almost a year and a half, almost.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, keep stacking them up.
Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did it on my own too, like not in trouble. There was no
Yeah.
law.
Yeah. Sometimes I don't want to believe it.
Yeah. Sometimes I don't believe. I'm even like, dang.
So I guess what was your why?
I just had enough. I don't know. Just one day I was just. Now the day that I did decide to do it, I went and bought more cases and went ham the day of. The day I decided as my last time, but something just triggered in my brain because I've been drinking for over 20 years, you know, and I just finally, maybe 15, 20 years. But
Yeah. Sometimes you just,
I finally was like, enough. You know, I've already gotten into trouble in my past when I was younger. I've already gotten in trouble with the law. I've already gotten combative with my friends or my family. I already went through the bull crap, the bullshit. But finally, one day, I was like, man, I'm just sick of this.
yeah, I think when you have
That's
that epiphany, obviously you have the epiphany and it could last a day or a week or 2 weeks. But once you realize the benefit of stopping, once you get through the withdrawals, once you get through your body, you know, because you're confused too. You're like, I don't even know how to feel sober. Like you have to learn how to do everything again. You have to find yourself. You have to.
It's a whole lot of scary thoughts.
But I
and
think
it lasts
once
for a long time.
100%.
Yeah.
I've never done this not fucked up, or
100%.
I haven't done this not fucked up in 20 plus years.
There you go.
Right? And
100%.
you guys being in a band, what are you guys around?
I'm
right?
around it all the time.
Like, and I mean, that shit's scary.
The first 3 months, I was more like, I have to admit, I was more like, oh man, like I'd see the beer or in our rider, they're like, what do you want? Well, I like at the time, I like White Claw and all that. I know. But so I was thinking, yeah. So it became like, oh man, not anymore. But that first 3 months, I have to admit, was kind of like that stepping stone you're saying. I'm trying to cut you off, but it's that stepping stone of, oh man, how do I do this sober? But now I love it. I can actually interact with the fans.
The crazy thing is he hangs out in bars and around music
I still go to
constantly.
bars. I like the atmosphere.
Not only did he quit, he puts himself in front of it and still can.
Oh yeah, I'm not
dabble.
tempted anymore at all. I like the atmosphere,
which is crazy because I know people that have quit. My wife being one, she quit and she just can't be around it.
Right.
Like, she does not want to be around it. And he's in it
I'm around it all the time.
weekly. So the whole point is
Cranberry juice.
It's like anybody that has an issue, you know, some people say you have to hit rock bottom, and you know, I think you just need to have an epiphany. You have to have a realization, and you have to know that this isn't going to be easy. This is going to be war with myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm going to war with myself, and I'm willing to do it. And a lot of people, they may hit that point when it's too late, you know, or when it's, you know, when your liver, my ex-wife passed away from drinking, you know, her liver failed.
Right.
So it's like, you know, most people, it's too late for them to fix what's already damaged, but now they want to try, and now they have the power to do so. To be able to do it without going through any of that is true power. That's when you become a powerful human being, when you can quit, not because if I don't, I'm going to die, or if I don't, you know, you just want to quit because you just know, and it's almost like, you know, your brain takes over versus the rest of your body, you know.
The hardest part, I'm thinking, like, for me it was just so easy to be like, all right, one more because I'm sick.
Yeah.
You know, and being opiate withdrawals. And I'm sure you went through some alcohol withdrawals.
You got to change your sheets every like 3 days because you're sweating it all out or shaking. And I don't want to admit it, but we're on the podcast.
Ironically, I mean, the two, from what I understand, and maybe somebody out there can correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I understand, there's two withdrawals that can actually kill you. One being alcohol, the other one being benzodiazepine.
Yeah.
Which is like your Xanax and your Valium.
Yep. Yeah.
Where opiates, they're not, you're gonna feel like you have the flu and it's gonna come out of both ends, but it's not gonna actually kill you. And I was still like, all right,
you're gonna shit your brains out.
I'm gonna go get high, and then I'm gonna call rehab, and I'm gonna get treatment all set up, and then, you know, I'd fade out and not do any of that stuff and wake up, start feeling sick again, and process would repeat. So it was just like, for me, I needed, like, I commend you and anybody who can just, I'm done. For me, I needed to be isolated,
right,
to detox, where it was like,
but even going through it, no matter how you got there, you got sober. To stay sober, that's where you need to be commended.
I tried to quit prior to just finally quitting, so it wasn't like the one time, I did it, you know, I just quit and I did it. So I want people out there thinking like, oh man, he did it the one time and finally quit. But that was my final time. So
but then you start to experience life, and you're like, wow, like when I get up in the morning, I feel good. Like, and I'm looking forward to things.
Phenomenal feeling.
Yeah, and it's you know, all of a sudden you have this motivation that you had when you were a kid or something, you know. Like,
Or for me, I remember it was, I don't remember the exact date, but it's like you start appreciating the beauty of the world.
Yeah.
Like, we got a place, Dahlia Hill here.
The small things.
Like, bunch of flowers. I'm like, start appreciating the beauty behind, like, the sun setting. Oh, it's a beautiful sunset.
Right.
And I never, it was a decade and a half in active addiction, I was never like, you know what, those waves look really beautiful today.
Right.
I was like,
exactly.
It was never.
You weren't thinking that at the time.
And that's part of, like, we flood our systems with dopamine when we're using, no matter what it is. Yep. And it turns that reward center from like a finger into a fire hose.
Exactly.
You ain't lying.
Then we don't get appreciation for, like, hear a good song. Hear, you know, for me, I have a really good lift, or I have a client experience like a huge like a landmark goal, and they're like, this is really working, thank you. For me, that now is like, you know,
gratifying. Like
that's your dopamine.
Yeah, that's my dopamine. And it takes time, and
it's not cool when you're in your 20s to be sober. Like,
I've noticed a change though with this generation.
Yeah, it is. It is.
It's really cool to see.
That's because we paved the way to show them what not to do.
Right. Even it's statistics say
Well, not only
alcohol
that,
use is down.
You get a lot of dopamine and just picking up your phone.
Oh yeah, that's another
So
problem.
it's a catch-22, I think. But you know, I didn't have a phone until I was in college, you know, after high school. So sometimes, you know, it's a bad thing because they're exposed to so many different things, like a teenager with their phones. But at the same time, your phone is actually an outlet, you know, getting on your phone, whether it's seeing how many likes you have on whatever, or just entertaining yourself, you know, constantly swiping through reels or whatever people do on their phones. It's an outlet. You know, somebody who is a loner, maybe they're an introvert, you know, their phone becomes their outlet. Now, without that phone, what are they doing then? You know,
Right.
where are they going? What are they gonna get into?
Yo.
So, you know, technology is definitely a double-sided sword.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
it can get
Blessing
into.
and a curse. Like going back to when, you know, you found out, and how did you find out the info from all those people?
Right,
It was
going
a
on-
forum on the internet.
Going on the
Right.
Facebook group,
Yeah.
which is crazy. I tell everybody, any issues you have,
Find
you
the
have
Facebook
to
group.
be your own doctor.
Yep.
You have to, it's your body. Everything affects different bodies. So it's like, that's the hard part. I have a scientist friend, and he said it best. And when I was going through with this pituitary issue, I play hockey with him. And he graduated from the University of Michigan with a master's. He's literally one of the smartest guys I know. He's actually from this area.
Yeah.
He told me, he said, you know, you have to remember that no matter what study you're studying, whenever what information you come across, it may be different from one person to the other because we're all made up of different genes. It may affect, you know, you hear of grandma smoking and drinking until she's 100 years old. How?
Right.
Like, if she can do it, then I can do it. And people have that mentality, and you can't have that mentality. You have to learn your own body and how your own genetics were affected. How was your father affected, your grandfather, and so on? Because that's what you really need to study.
The human body in general is relatively unexplored. I mean, for like all the science, like hormones, how they interact, and how individualized can it get, like what you were just saying, because we're all very different. Both of our parents, you know, we're very different. So everyone's very unique in ways, but also like so when I talk to a client, we talk nutrition or something, I talk, what's your diet history? Because what chemicals have you been exposed to versus, you
Right.
know, like over your lifespan. So
Yeah.
there's all these variables that science hasn't even, maybe they have, they just haven't told us about it yet.
Well, that in the
But-
brain, I mean, we don't
Yeah.
know. We know a fraction of how the brain operates, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean,
I've been trying to look for a quantum physicist,
yeah,
but they're not local.
no.
Those are hard to find.
Yeah,
Right?
wow.
So I basically like.
But look at all
talking-
the things that you're hearing. You know, we always heard different facts growing up, and now they're being reversed.
Mhm.
You know, so I just think it's so important that everybody finds their own logic. There was a time where I'm like, especially when I started realizing that my endocrinologist was wrong. When you knew that I had low testosterone, you should have at least brought it up. Like, hey,
Right.
this could help you if you want to, you know. And I feel like our system is designed for profit. You know,
Oh,
like
yeah.
obviously it is.
100%.
You know, they'd rather put you on pills, you know, and your doctor may not even realize this. They're just doing their job. They're just doing what they're told to do. Like when you go into the doctor and you say you have anxiety, in my terms, they're just throwing a bunch of Band-Aids at you.
Mhm.
It's like, well,
Not
I'm not
treating the
here.
cause.
I'm not here for a quick fix. I'm here to figure out what the problem is. So when I came into the doctor, why are we not looking at our hormones more in depth? Is it because of the insurance I have? Like,
Right.
why? So I had all these questions. Why? Like, so at that point, I'm like, you know what? I have to delete anything I've ever learned and relearn everything with logic. Literally, the keyword logic.
And like you said, I tell my family this, you're your best patient advocate.
Absolutely.
We have to remember, and it goes the same for like all of our clients, we work for them. So when we go to our doctors, they also work for us. We're paying them.
Yeah, it's your body.
So we're paying them for their expertise. And if they say something and we don't listen, that's on us, right? So it's along the same.
On the same note, though, if they tell you something that is wrong, like I said, when I said earlier, they diagnose you. When you go to the doctor, when you go into a mental health hospital, they have to diagnose you in 5 minutes. It's like, how? How can you?
Right.
My father ended up in one at a point, and he's the most straight-laced person, you know. He got on medications that spun him out.
Right.
And it literally made him crazy. And he ended up in there, and they diagnosed him with bipolar. And I fought with these doctors. Like, this man is not bipolar. I said, get him on the medications he's been on for the last 15 years and get rid of the other medications. So it took time, but I couldn't believe that they diagnosed him with bipolar. So it's kind of like people end up in prison, innocent people end up in prison. These people are ending up in their own prison because a doctor misdiagnosed them.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, my fight is against any general doctor out there. Like, I understand you only have so much time. You have 1,000 patients or whatever it is. And in a day, you can only see them for 10 minutes. Like, that's your max. Well, 5 of those 10 minutes, I'm waiting for them to come in. You know, it's like,
it's a systemic issue, really, when you talk our entire, we could dive into this in a whole episode about,
absolutely.
Like, insurance companies are that we're paying a middleman that
absolutely
we could take right out and eliminate the lower healthcare expenses for everyone. We're paying these pharmaceutical industry giants probably trillions, billions,
absolutely.
billions of dollars in profit at minimum, when there shouldn't be in general, because I care about your health. I care about your health. I care about everybody's health around me, people I don't know. And the kicker is, like, some people can't afford their health care. Some people can. So now it's a class system. And really, I mean, we all deserve the right to have access to health care, but why is it lying in other people's pockets when we're sick? That's the problem.
Yeah.
It's just like the prison industrial complex, where people are getting paid to lock people up.
Right.
That can influence our legislatures, that can influence the sentencing guidelines, and, you know, but enough of my rant there.
No, it's interesting, though, because at the end of the day, no matter where the world moves, because these are multi-billion-dollar corporations that we can't shut down.
Right. We can't do nothing against them.
And people know the reality. So at the end of the day, what are you going to do as an individual? What can you do as an individual? And that's why I tell people, you have to become your own doctor. You have to take care of yourself. It's your responsibility. You can go to the doctor, but it's also your responsibility to speak up to them. Because once they know, okay, you know, these guys are looking for a solution. They're not looking for a Band-Aid.
Right.
And not everybody goes in there saying, doctor, I don't want to be on pills. I want to figure out why. Okay, well, we're going to send you to this specialist or that specialist. Right. It's out of their, you know, general doctors to me are more like, they know a little bit they're not a master of anything. They just know a little bit of everything.
Right. Referrals.
So, you know, it's kind of like, but unfortunately you have to go through them to get to that specialist. And some of them, you know, they want to believe that you're diagnosed, this is the issue. So I'm not even going to send you there's no reason for me to send you to the specialist because you just have anxiety.
Right.
Well, because anytime you have anxiety on the chart, everybody's judging you. Oh, he just has anxiety. He doesn't really have that issue. He just thinks in his mind that he has that issue.
Right.
Because I've noticed that during that time when I would go to different doctors, so you have anxiety? I'm like, absolutely. I don't have any anxiety. I just say, that's gone. This is not my anxiety telling me this. I'm feeling it. Like I'm having these symptoms.
Yeah.
And I would like to go to a specialist, and it's like, you literally have to tell them, like, look, man, the insurance is here. The tools are here. I, the patient, this is my body. I want to go see a specialist. It's like you almost have to fight with some of them.
In some cases, you need the pass from them.
Yeah, in most cases, you can't just call a specialist and say, hey, I want to make an appointment. Well, call your general doctor, and they got to send a referral, which that referral is basically financial.
And that gets back to the systemic issue.
Exactly.
That's how they're forced to. Because I know quite a few doctors have told me that they're frustrated with what their hands are kind of tied. With, prescribing and.
Well, because they're not the boss. They don't make the rules and the policies and the regulations. Mm-hmm. They're just there to. But at the end of the day, you get caught up in your job. Whether you're a surgeon or a general doctor, you get kind of like how criminals get what's the word I'm looking for? Institutionalized. Doctors, I think, they get to the point where they just know, hey, I'm making, this is in the back of their head. This is in their subconscious. They're like, I'm making a big check off this surgery. It's not my job to say whether you should have surgery or not. Mm-hmm. It's if you come to me and say, I want to get this surgery done, they're not going to talk you out of it.
Right.
And I think from general doctors all the way to surgeons, I think they kind of just get used to it. Like, they don't know you. If it was their son, they would say, well, you know what? It's a little dangerous to do this, but so it's interesting when it comes to how well you know your doctor or how well that's why I think it's important for you to see, if you're going to have a surgery, to see that doctor as many times as you can beforehand.
Right.
Like, to make sure that this is something that they really think you should have done, or is it a paycheck?
Right.
And nobody's obviously going to ever admit those.
It's just a paycheck. Yeah.
But in reality, it is. That they're going to cut you open. They wanted to cut me open right away. I had a doctor that wanted to cut me open right away. And there was no reason to, because I wasn't having the symptoms. It took, 6-7 years for me to start having those, symptoms that were putting me right. I couldn't even get out of bed. They were that bad. But it was, but I didn't want to just move on with my life. I wanted to go, wait a minute here, man. This system's broken.
Yeah.
Like, I could have there's so many different avenues I could have went down, and there's so many other people out here that are dealing with these same issues.
Well, the more people that are out there talking about this type of stuff, that's how it starts, right?
Yeah.
That's how change starts. It's conversation.
Absolutely. I stay active in the group that I got my information. I feel like I have to pass this on. So I'll spend some days just talking to people all day, that had the same issue I have, and educating them on what I know, because they're not going to hear this from a doctor.
Right.
They're just not, unless that doctor actually went through it. And if they did go through it, they'd probably walk away from the medical field. You hear there's lots of doctors out there that have just walked away from Western medicine. They can't live with themselves.
Nope.
They can't. They can't sleep at night.
That's where a lot of the concierge medicine's starting to come out, but then insurance doesn't cover any of that stuff. So
yeah, it's like an ex-FBI agent that just walks away from the government. Mm-hmm. I believe everything they say. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a doctor that walks away from the Western medicine. You're walking away from millions of dollars. It's like, those are the people you want to listen to.
Yep. As long as they're around.
Yeah. But that,
that's another podcast.
Yeah. There's enough. We got plenty of content.
Oh yeah. Bring me back for that one. I'll be here for hours.
We'll have to have you guys back on. It's been a good conversation for sure. I'm going to list in So if anybody's interested in any of Redburn's local shows, check the comments. We're going to list those and link to their website. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Yeah, man. Thanks a lot for. I didn't get
Appreciate it.
I didn't get to kick this off in the intro, but I appreciate what you guys are doing and the level of awareness you're putting out there. There's not a lot of podcasts in this area.
Yeah.
So it's cool what you guys are doing.
Thank you, man.
And sending out positive messages and fact checking on a lot of the statements that are being made, and just having the specialists on different type of specialists, because it's not something that we have a lot of in this area, and there's so many interesting people that I'm sure you guys are willing to still search and reach.
Oh yeah. But
thanks, man. I appreciate you guys having us on.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you for tuning in. Till next time, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.